Okay, well, we're back. Don't know what happened, but it was like this weird, like, little hiccup in the power. And even though Meebo tried to reconnect the best way it possibly could, it was unsuccessful. So we're just going to start this one over. So we are doing a trendy fall color wreath using this sign from Craft Outlet. This is a 10 by 10 square. You can get this, like I said, from Craft Outlet. I happen to have gotten mine at Crinkle Designs, which is crinkledesigns.us. And that's another option that you have. Let me go ahead and make sure that I am out of the other one and into the new one. Okay, looks like we're good. I'm thinking. I'm trying to see. On mine, it's kind of frozen, so I'm looking. Hold on. It says it's live, but I don't think this one is live. Let's see. Let me go ahead and close this one. Okay, let me go out. Let's see. All right, Facebook, is it you that's playing? Okay, I think we're back. All right. Hi, Genevieve. Is it Genevieve? Oh, okay. Let me go ahead and put all the stuff back in here again. So I'm hoping that Facebook will cooperate this time around. So I wonder if people are getting kicked off today. That would be interesting to find out. Let's see. We'll pin that comment. So, comment is pinned below for those of you that are interested in joining my private group. I do have a private group. We do teach business and design. We do 4 tutorials each month in both. So you have 4 design and then 4 business tutorials. So we're going to be doing a trendy fall wreath for today. We're using, it reminds me of like orange creamsicles, but we're trending in and adding in this little metallic blue foil. So I don't want to go overly blue. I just want to do a touch of blue, but we are going to pop more blues in with the ribbon choices we have. And maybe it just depends on what the overall look is going to be. How everything ties together, like what extra stuff we might add. Deco mesh is cut to 20-inch pieces. You need 18 of them. We're doing a 14-inch Dollar Tree theme. I want to welcome you if you're a first-time follower and are rejoining me again. Welcome. I apologize for that, but like technology, oops, see, we can't always be in charge of everything all of the time. So, fun stuff. Yeah, Nancy, she said a hi. I came and looked frozen, thought I missed a live. Yeah, no, and Linda, you're back. So, I just stopped when I saw it's like lost connection. And then normally when I hear the tone, it means I like didn't plug in the power supply to my camera. But it just seemed like we lost power there for a second. So, we're back. We're doing the ruffle method. This is I was going over it again, poly jute metallic mesh. And we're just doing a subtle ruffle on this. And I'm just going around and doing one piece at a time. This particular deco mesh cannot be cut with a wood burning tool. So you're going to see, you know, frays happening from time to time, but that's okay. I'll trim those up. And generally, once you get everything in and you stop playing with it, then you don't have frays happening. So like you'll have little pieces of the cotton thread that might come through. So I'm trying really hard to be super cautious, not play with it too much. We're going to go around and put this on the outside. So I didn't want to go too blue, just subtle blue. So it still felt like fall. And then believe it or not, blue and orange are a pretty popular color. Sports teams use this color combination. It's the reason why red and green are so popular, orange and blue are complementary colors. That's why a lot of people gravitate towards that look. It's very aesthetically pleasing. Hi, Cindy. Thank you for sharing. Hi, Anna. Welcome back. Right, Linda? She says, I love the Deco mesh. It's just the right touch of blue. Like, not overwhelming. And I think I did buy one that has a lot more blue in it. But I didn't go through and pull it. I've been organizing my studio because now that we're getting into our seasonal holidays, it's just easier to have all that stuff where you can find it. Like in the live that I did yesterday, for the life of me, I knew I had cinnamon sticks, and I knew what size bin they were in. I could visualize, you know, the bin, and I looked all over my entire space yesterday. I walk in to my studio today, and they're sitting on the floor on top of another box. And I'm like, how did I miss that? Like, literally, they were right in the center of the floor. There was nothing else in the center of the floor but that sitting on top of a box. So I'm thinking what I did is I picked it up, looking for it, not knowing I had it in my hand, moving, you know, maybe I was looking for fall florals or something, and I inadvertently set that down. And yeah, there's that fun stuff. I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm addressing the phrase as I see them. And I like this color already. It's a very soft, trendy color. So we're always laying our Deco mesh finished edges to the inside. We're putting our cut edges to the outside. And then as I'm laying these in, you'll see I'll trim up any frays that are there, like here, right on the edge. What I do is I turn the ends downward so that those cut edges, because that's where it's going to fray, are underneath. They can't be touched, they can't be fussed with. So I think that'll work a little bit better. Okay. So if this is your first time joining me, welcome. I'd love to know where you're from. And what are you guys currently working on right now? Are you starting your holiday decor? I know we did, what did we do? We did vintage Halloween last week. We're doing fall today, and then we're doing Christmas on Thursday. So kind of like toggling back and forth throughout the month. A little bit of Halloween, a little bit of fall, and a whole lot of Christmas. So people always ask, well, how much Halloween should I make? How many Christmas? I always say Halloween is probably, it's not your lightest holiday, but I would do maybe 5 or 6 Halloween designs. It just depends on like what you're looking for, what your customer base is looking for. And then I always do twice as many fall, and then I do twice as many on top of that Christmas, because some people don't celebrate Halloween, so they will definitely get a fall wreath and put that in place, because it could act, you know, in lieu of Halloween, just something that's kind of fun and whimsical, like this one. So I'm always readjusting my Deco mesh, making sure that that center piece that I have right in the center is adjusted. Here's another fray. Go in. Just remove that thread out of there. Again, fold your edges down. I turn all my pipe cleaners to the left. So now I'm doing what's called, I'm moving into a new section. So when I do that, I take the outside edges, I'll move my pipe cleaner right in between that. So when I come in to lay it, it's going to lay down right on top of that. Again, makes it look good. Shouldn't cause any issues with fraying because we're laying it down right on top. We're just going to make a subtle adjustment and turn our ends down. So one complete twist, turning my ends under. And then I'm not going to do this one so much because I got to get that center one in first. And then I need to put this on top of my center. Denise says, I love those colors. I'm so ready for fall. My favorite time of the year. Mine too. I am done with summer. I am not a summer person. If I could flee the globe for summer, I would. I just don't care for summer. I prefer mild summers. Maybe I have to go someplace where it is winter in our summer months. Linda says, I have so many from last year that didn't sell. And I really want to create a couple more, but my area is really oversaturated with wreath makers. So my question to you, Linda, is how are you selling? Are you doing local craft fairs? Because when you look at the global population, and I know it feels like it's an oversaturated market because wreath makers follow other wreath makers for designs, techniques, tips, new ideas. People in general do not. So when you're out there marketing to the world, or even like for us here in Washington, I am marketing to everyone in the continental United States. That's a lot of doors. And a lot of clients are just like you. They don't want last year's wreath. They want something new this year. Maybe they're changing up their colors. I know I do it every Christmas. I change up my colors. I never do the same design. You know, we might go coastal. We might do something trendy. We might do country. We might do traditional. So you're not oversaturated. When you look at the number of people who are shopping for wreaths, you know, they're just looking for what they want. So our goal is to make sure that we're offering a little bit for everybody. You know, you have grapevines, you might have evergreens, you might have mesh wreaths, you might have smaller wreaths, you might have storm door wreaths. You want to make sure that you're like not leaving anybody out there, because even Pottery Barn and Williams-Sonoma offer something for everyone. You know, I might not be able to go in there and buy their gorgeous bedding, but I can go in there and find something. And so that's what we want to do. So it's not oversaturated. It's just, it feels that way because that's all we see, right? Many doors, many different styles, many options, as well as different price point. And that was from Bella Wreath Designs. So here's the question I have for those of you who say, well, I'd really like to make something new, but the market's oversaturated. I want you, the next time you go to the grocery store, I want you to go down the bread aisle. And I want you to look at how many loaves of bread there are, okay? People can say they're oversaturated on the white bread market, or they're oversaturated on the wheat bread market. The thing is people don't let somebody else who makes wheat bread, you know, the fact that the bread aisle is as massive as it is, gives us hope that there's something out there for everybody. Jeannie, the mesh is cut to 20-inch pieces. Linda says, church craft fair and one private community. I did get a couple of custom for Christmas. So my question to you is, what's holding you back from selling online? Because I understand that from a local perspective. Like when I lived in Victorville, California, it was a very lower price point demographic. Let's just say people would not spend anything greater than $40 for a wreath. So knowing that if I'm selling locally, then that's all I want to be able to make is you have to, you know, that's what your demographics can afford, then that's what you make. But here's the crazy thing. There are people even in that demographic that are willing to pay a little bit more for something that they truly like, you know? So I would say reach out. Bella says, I'm in Alabama. I do lives. I only sell from Facebook or, hold on a second. I got that one. Another great example, the bread, but also a great big example how many burger joints are literally across the street or even besides each other. Yeah, exactly, right? If people thought, well, I can never compete with, you know, McDonald's hamburgers, you know, Burger King and all the others, and In-N-Out would have never varied their thing. You've got to change your mindset. So it's our mindset that's holding us back, saying, well, I can't find anyone to buy it. Well, you can't find anyone local. Expand your horizon. Think about opening an Etsy shop. Think about selling on Facebook Marketplace, because that allows you to sell locally and maybe outside those fringe areas in your community. So that should really help you with that. If I was to look at, well, you know, how many wreaths do I sell locally? Since I have moved here in, let's see, September 10th is when I literally moved in out here to Washington. The number of wreaths sold in Washington to date, 0. 0. In the last year, I have not sold any to the state that I live in. How many have I sold outside the state? A lot. So it just depends. I always say that there's a wreath out there for every wreath maker, or a buyer out there for every wreath maker. You just have to find a way to get your wreaths in front of the right buyer. And you have to make it super easy for them to check out. You know, you don't want to overcomplicate the process and say, well, you need to email me and then I'll invoice you. And then once I get that back, then I have to like package everything and then email you back and give you the postage on that. It's like, it's too complicated. You have to make it easy. Right? Mindset will always be in your way if you allow it. Got to keep posting about the designs and people don't see everything. Right. And depending upon how they're following you, you know, if you post 3 times a day, and I'm just going to give you some generalities. If I post 8, 12, 4, and 8 p.m., and I don't always post things that I'm selling. Sometimes I'm posting something fun, something we're doing. I might offer a wreath or two. I might offer wreath kits. But if people are not following you and they can only see your post based on when your post pops up for them. If I post at 8 o'clock in the morning, I miss a lot of people who may not see that post. They may not see it at 12. They may not see it at all. So that's why it's just changed up your, change it. constantly change it. Figure out what works. You know, there's plenty out there for everybody. I don't even know what the population is. I know on my street alone, there's 40 houses. I don't know how many of those houses have a wreath. I know the population of our city is about 650. That's potentially 650 people who might be looking for a Christmas wreath, a fall wreath, something for their door, a gift for a friend. My job is to figure out, where do I find them? Are they on Facebook? Are they on YouTube? Are they on Instagram? I need to go where they are so I can show them, hey, this is what I have. So we don't give up. Look at how gorgeous that is. I absolutely love this color mesh. That subtle blue is just the right amount. I have a friend that's going to list a couple on Etsy. Yes, Linda, I'm going to challenge you. You need to change your mindset. Your whole mindset is to tell yourself that there is a customer that's looking for this wreath. It's like a treasure hunt for us. We have to figure out how do we get it in front of them so they see it. So we try everything. We try Facebook, we try Instagram, we try Pinterest, we try YouTube, you do Facebook Lives, you do Facebook Marketplace, you sell at local craft fairs. Everyone's got their niche. Like, there's people who are super good and super successful at craft fairs. I am not. I don't know why that is. But it doesn't mean that the market's oversaturated. So I'm going to challenge you to change that. I want to help you to be able to do that, because I'm like you. I have the tubs of Christmas signs, and it's great that I have all of that. Should I really use what I have? But then you see something pretty online and you're like, oh, I have just the right thing for that. Just kind of pray about it. Ask God. If God gives us the inspiration and the creativity and the help in designing our wreaths, He can certainly help us find the right client that is looking for this design. Right, Donna? She said, this is a gorgeous wreath base. Now watch. Now when we put the sign on the top, boom, that looks so pretty, right? Even though it's a trendy color for fall, it still works. So we're going to go in and we're going to add in our ribbon tails. How did I do these this time? I'm looking, because I did all the prep work. What is today? Tuesday? I think I did the prep work on, I think I did it late last night. So I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of time. So a lot of new color ribbons. So remember, I was talking to you guys, I don't know if you remember this, but Crinkle Designs is selling this new type of ribbon this year. It is a gingham with a wide stripe, and they're selling it in these like cool colors like burnt orange and cranberry and brown. Obviously, they're doing it in teal. But what I didn't realize when I clicked on this is not only do you have the design on this side, but bam, you have a totally different design on the other side. So you can go either direction. You could, use the same ribbon, but flip it over and get a totally different design in your bow by using both pieces. For the outside of it, I'm going to use the gingham because I kind of like the little flirting with the white in with the teal. And we're pairing that with white pumpkins on a natural. So the 2.5 inch is cut to 14 inches. The 1.5 inch is cut to 19. So that is one color combination. And then check this one out. I had these last year and I never got to use them. This is a teal color blue, but it's got some gorgeous foil colored leaves on here. And so you can see just when I'm like moving the ribbon, how that plays to that foil. And we're going to pair that with this pumpkin ribbon. I don't think that it is available anymore. This was from Joann's 2 years ago. So that's the color combinations. We want to introduce a pumpkin theme, but I want to be really subtle about it. I don't want to be like, ugh, here's all pumpkin, pumpkin, pumpkin. So those are the combinations we're doing. The foil came from Craft Outlet. The pumpkin on the tan is from Craft Outlet. The teal is from Kringle. And then again, like I said, is it Joann's? Look. Michael's. Sorry. Michael's for the pumpkins. So we're going to go ahead and lay these in and get these going all the way around. So we're folding in half just so we can find our center point. We're going to gather into the center. And let's see. This one's going to wind up with teal. So I'm going to put this with all the white pipe cleaners. So anywhere we have white, we're going to put in the 14-inch. And then we're going to come in with our teal. We're going to do half bow, which is 19-inch pieces. Bring your dovetailed edges together. Go up about 2 inches to the center. Pinch that in. You're going to go ahead and add that to the center. Give it a couple twists. You're going to open up the loop. You're going to right side the wrong part of your ribbon. You're going to flip that over. And then you're just going to, trying to get that flipped right there. I like to lay it in between so that you can see both of them. I'm going to go ahead and remove my pipe cleaners. So we just snip off the remaining ends. We're going to take that and wrap that right around in the back so we don't see that from the front. There's the first one, and then here's our introduction of that teal. So we're coming in a little bit bolder. One complete twist. And then we're going to do our pumpkins the same way. Bring that in. Put that on the inside. And I'm going to leave this one open. I might want to come back and add something to this. It just depends on what the final result looks like. So I'm just going to leave that. If I don't know if I want to add something to it or not, I'm generally going to leave that in. I haven't decided which one I want to leave to the outside. I definitely love the pumpkins to the outside. So we're going to go around, do these. Yes, Linda, I don't want you to feel like, oh, I really want to be a wreath maker. I don't think that God put that desire in your heart. If he intended you to just go, you know, and sell local. I think he brings you around to the right people who can inspire you to tell you, you can do it. You can get out there. You can open up an Etsy shop. You know, it doesn't cost you any money to open your Etsy shop, but like 20 cents. So there is no risk involved there. And you know what? You just might find out that that is your niche. That you just are blowing your designs out through, you know, Etsy. Other people do really good on Facebook Marketplace. Other people sell through their Facebook page and are very successful at that. That's why I said there's something for everybody. You have to understand the, you know, the highs and lows of the business. And right now we're building for the busy season. Because it generally starts to really pick up just after Labor Day. Then you're going to start to get really busy. And people are going to start shopping. and they know exactly what they want. They know what their color point is. But honestly, you can never go wrong with traditional colors. Thank you, Jamie. She said, first live. I love your stuff. Hello from Texas. Well, hello to you, and thank you for joining us today. Love having you here. Glad you found us. So again, if I happen to come across one of my frays, I'm going to deal with that. And then we're going to move on to the outside pieces. And then I haven't quite decided what I want to do with the bow. I didn't realize when I was pulling the materials out yesterday, I was like, wow, I grabbed 7 ribbons. So we might be way mixing that up with a totally different ribbon. And I made the mistake of cutting an extra one of the 1.5" pumpkins, which means it's going to impact my bow. But I'm going to show you how we're going to work through that, because I'm sure you guys have done that as well, and I want to show you how to work through a situation. I hate the word problem. I prefer to say situation. Okay. So I was so excited when I ordered this ribbon. I was like, oh, I know exactly what I want to use it on. You know, I definitely want to do a blue and orange, but not like crazy blue and orange. I think this works. So we'll see. We'll see, does it feel rustic? Does it feel country? Down. So let me flip that. Let's flip it over, and then our pumpkins will be the right way. So if our pumpkins are facing like this, then technically they're upside down. But if I flip them the other way, then when I pull the tails out, the pumpkins are the right way. So let me flip that. I just had these last 2. So a little subtle change. Flip it over. Place it back inside. Okay, what did I not do? I don't think I twisted it the right way. Okay, I know what I did. I twisted the wrong tail. I meant to grab the under one. So now they're all facing the right direction. So our pumpkins are going in the right direction. There we go. Little small things like that. Somebody may or may not notice. It like clicked for me. I was like, wait, something doesn't look right there. And see, you could flip these and do them this way. Now I want to go buy a bunch more of this ribbon, because it's basically a 2-for-1. You get 2 looks in one ribbon. And when I'm looking at it, I always tell myself, well, if I don't like the way it looks on the gingham side, it's striped on the other side, a vertical stripe. There we go. Flipping it around to the back. I still like the fact that we don't have a ton of blue, just a little bit of subtle blue. Even in the sign, it's just in the berries. It's only on one pumpkin. this wouldn't drive me to, you know, paint all my pumpkins blue. So I do know. Nope, I had it the right way. Pumpkins need to face that way. So when I open them, the pumpkins are all sitting up the same way. What questions do you guys that I can answer you? Linda says, I absolutely love the half bows. Those are my favorite. When I first started wreath making, I watched a lot of people just do crisscross bows. You know, they would take 2 ribbons, stick it in the center, and then, you know, have one go high, one go low, and then switch it up on the other side. And I always felt like, but what goes in the middle? Like my eye was always drawn to the middle, like it was unfinished. And so I was like, what could you put there that would make it look finished? So then I came up with a half bow, like a little 3D awareness ribbon. Oh, Charlotte, thank you. She said, I'm loving this. So glad to watch you. I'm so glad to have you watch me. I'm like trying to think, what really sells for fall? I know like most of my stuff, if I stay in the traditional, those do better than, you know, definitely trendy colors, because trendy is, you know, some people like it and some people are, you know, they might like it, but they're like, I like it, but not for me. And so I'm hoping this is like, it's a nice little pop of blue color. This could work for the beach. This could definitely be a beachy fall. If you found a super cute fall sign, this color would work really well for a beach fall themed wreath. I'm going to go up, over, and flip those. We've got 2 more, and then we'll do our bow. Here's that. And I love the texture of this ribbon. It feels very high quality. And so, like I said, I'm leaving the orange pipe cleaners because I'm not sure if I want to add, like we could add a little touch of like orange, or we could add a natural raffia to this look. So that's what I'm saving it for. And this is how I would generally do a wreath, even if this wasn't alive. I would just build the whole thing like I am, put my bow in, and then I would look at it and say, does it need anything else? Let's try adding, you know, little touch of raffia, because I'm looking at like what's in the sign. There's some berries, some leaves, some flowers. It almost looks like poppies. And I know a lot of people are making these color signs, as well as like the plum. I think I did plum last year. Leaving that one. Almost chalked that off. All right. So see, when we add our sign now to this, look at how much real estate the sign is taking up. And we have not added a bow yet. Do you need to add a bow? No. you can opt to not put a bow on it and keep it really simple. I want to definitely add one. However, looking at the placement here, all of our words is like trending to the upper left-hand corner, which you guys know that I'm always, that's like my sweet spot for bows. So we can go over here, because then that still leaves the pumpkins. We can go down to the bottom, like down here in the corner, and put our bow. So here, or we could just put it at the very, very bottom altogether and have a bottom facing bow. And then like maybe pull our sign a little bit higher and then put our bow like down in here. We'll see how that goes. So let's prep a few things. So I am going to, as soon as I find it, I'm going to take the warning labels and everything else off the back of the sign. I love this little tool. It's Amazon Prime Day, so you can get a 2-pack. It actually comes with 2 of them, and that's exactly what it's for. It's taking your stickers off the back. Super easy. I want to say it's like less than $5. So we're going to go ahead and cut our twine off. We're going to add 2 pipe cleaners to this. I'm going to go side to side. I'm going to go ahead and staple those straight to the bottom. There's 1. There's 2. I just do a little twist just so they don't pull all the way through. Same thing here. 1/4-inch staples on a 1/4 inch or greater sign will make sure that that doesn't go all the way through your design to the other side. So I do want to add a business card, because sometimes customers forget where they bought that from. They're like, wow, I really like the fall wreath. I need a Christmas one. So making sure it's the right direction. We're going to go ahead and, okay, Kat, what did you not do? I turned my power off by mistake. Okay, we'll set that aside. We'll start our bow. Kathleen, please say some prayers for my friend. We had to put her horse down today. Oh, I'm so sorry. I understand that loss. It's horrible. Definitely, Kathleen, I will make sure that we keep that friend of yours down in prayer. Mary says, just started watching in the last 3 weeks. When adding your ribbon tails, do you put them all in the upper ring or bottom rings? Mine are all on the outside 12 rings. So I don't generally put anything on the inside ones unless I have a really super small sign. Okay. Using the Bow Dabra, and I'm really like contemplating where do I want to put my sign, like for the whole design aspect. So we are going to start with the teal, and then we're going to go beige. This we're going to put on the outside, because that's the one I told you there's a glitch in it, so we have to fix it. We're going to try something totally new. We're going to put in seven ribbons. So I'm looking at the colors and trying to break up some of these colors. So I'm going to use this, but I'm going to flip it, and I'm going to use the stripe side. Okay. Then I think we're going to do like this, Lordy, this, and then that. Is that an insane amount of ribbon for a bow? I don't know. We shall see what we're going to do. We'll see how it all turns out. All right, first thing you want to do is dovetail your ribbon. So you're just going to take your wired edges, bring them together, and depending upon how deep you want that V into your ribbon is where you start on your folded side, but your destination is always the same. Let's go in. it's always going to be that wired point. So I like mine a little on the deeper side. So a little bit like this. I like it to look like I actually cut that. So we're going to measure off. Let's go 10.5. Normally I go 10. So we're going to go 10.5. And now we're going to go 6 inches for our loop size for this one. Normally we go 5.5. We're going a little bit bigger, a little bit larger. So we need this to go all the way out. See right there? It's like, it's my trending habit to get it right where it generally is. So we want 6 inches right there. Then we're going to flip it over, measure out another 6 inches. I'm placing my Bodabra so that the center lines up with the 10 mark, so that when I stretch this out, it lines up on the 4, which tells me, hey, I've got 6 inches. And then we're going to go back out. We said 11 inches. So we're going to go ahead and cut that down. Oh no, I said 10.5. Huh? Okay. We'll do a deeper dovetail and cut the excess off. There we go. Okay. So that one is ready. So we're doing 10.5, 6. And then now we're going to go 10. So dovetail again. We're going to measure this one out, 10 inches. We're going to go ahead and gather it in. Oops. Twist. Place it on the inside. Going up and over. We want this at 5.5-inch loops. There's that one. Dovetail the edge. Okay, that one is done. Now we are going to use that striped gingham, but we're flipping it so we get the stripe. You can get this ribbon from Kringle. So dovetail edge. We're measuring this to 9.5 inches. I'm going to flip it over. So there we go. 9.5 inches. Flipping because we wanted the stripe side up. We're going to go up and over, and this is going to be 5 inches. Right there. Guess I should have done it the right way so I can get the orientation right. One, two, come on. There we go. 5 inches. And then back out to 9.5. Go ahead and dovetail that one. Then we are doing this blue plaid, which is from Craft Outlet. I don't know if they have this yet, still this year. I've had this a couple years. I think that's when blue and orange first became a popular thing. This one is going to be 9 inches. So we did 10 and a half, 10, 9 and a half inch, 9. We're going to do 4.5 inch for this. Bring that back in. And then we're going to go up and over. Look for another 4.5 inches. And then back out. This is what's throwing me because 1, 2, 3. We're on 4, 9. I'm so used to just having a set standard of, okay, I'm on ribbon number 4, it should be this. I'm like, no, we're doing 7 in this bow. Okay, now we are going to, this one's 8.5, 8, 7.5. Yes. So this ribbon, the burnt orange with the raised white stitching, is also from Crinkle Designs. So this is 8.5 inches in. And we're also going to do a 4.5 inch loop. So I cheat and just put my finger in the top and then just kind of pull until that size the same. Be the same on the other side, but I do need to measure the tail length and make sure we are right on the money with our tail at 8.5. Use that one. Now we'll do our blue. And then we're going to have to get creative on how we're going to fix the cat booth. Not paying attention. I knew I only had so much ribbon. But we can fix it. I generally don't do it, but I'm going to show you how. If you just have enough, you know, how do you go about remedying that problem? So this is 8-inch tail, and we're doing 4-inch loops. Here we go, 4-inch. Is I wasn't paying attention and I was cutting. This is what happens when you talk to your husband and you're not paying attention to what you're doing and you're like, whoa, I just cut 7. Oh, that's not going to work. So let me show you what I have to work with. We have this piece, which is 23 inches, which almost does it by itself. If we did it that way, it would be 7.5, 7.5, and then we go 7.5. And then we need just a little bit more. Had Kat not cut it, I would have had it perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a loop and a tail, and then I'm going to do a loop and a tail. So all I need to have on that is I need 7.5 inches for my tail, and then I only need 7 inches for my loop. 3.5 and 3.5 added together, 7. So I'm going to dovetail one of my ends. And then I'm going to measure out 7.5 inches. I'm going to twist. And now I'm actually not going to twist it. I'm going to measure out 7.5 inches. And I'm going to put that together. This little tail is actually going to be what holds that whole thing together. I'm going to place that right inside, just like so. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to dovetail the end. 7.5 inches. We're going to measure 7 out. We're going to loop that around. Lord knows we don't need that much of a tail. I just need enough to make sure it won't pull all the way through. And we are going, I need to flip this over. So, let's do it from this side. That's what I needed to do. 7.5, cut, splice. Let me find my 7. Okay, so this is going to go right on top. I'm going to actually cut that little V off because I don't want to see the V. I want it a straight cut. Placing that right inside. And now we're going to get our pipe cleaner. Did the dovetail, did the dovetail. Good. Okay, pipe cleaner is going to be white. White or beige? Let's do beige. So I get the U already prepared. I'm going to compress everything together. I'm going to orientate my hands. I'm going to hold right here at the bottom and I'm going to spin that whole stack. Okay, now we're going to fluff. Before we fluff, let me add this line to the bottom because the glue gun is on now. So we are just adding glue to the back, dropping that right in the center. Sign is now ready for us to go. I'm like looking, I think I want it to be at the bottom. I'm not feeling it up at the top. I think we're going to do a bottom bow. So with that said, it doesn't change how you fluff it. In a sense, you do it the same way. Okay. So 24 inch by 24 inch by 1 inch thick. Just it's a piece of lumber. I need to make this pretty. I might just stain it and lacquer it. I think will look really pretty. That's Kat's project for this weekend. 1.5 to 2 inch metal C-hook that you screw into the center. All it does is keep your ribbons from moving around. Since we're doing a bottom bow, we want to pull. And I'm going to actually cut this little end right here so it's not quite as long. I'm going to pull all the tails down. So tails all the way to the bottom. See, that one is in here. This one goes here. This one is here. There's all that to the bottom. Down, down, down. It's just so much easier that way. And then what we're doing is I start at the bottom and I'm going to go high with 1. So one of my 2.5 I'm going high, the other one's going to the bottom. On the other side we're doing opposite. So I'm going to take the pumpkin and bring it up. And then I'm going to take the teal leaves and pull them down below. And then I'm going to do the same as we pull every single color up. I'm going to pull this up high, this down low. Opposites. I'm going to pull these ones in opposite directions. This way we get a nice little blend of everything. Then I'm going to do the last 2. I don't want to put brown on brown, so I'm going to go opposite with these ones. So we pull that back up. Here, I'm going to pull that up. And then here, we're going to leave this one stay right in the center. And then we want to open these up a little bit. When I'm doing a bottom bow, I like them to lay a little bit more flat, not so like poofy. So just want to make sure that I undo, you know, I don't like flat ribbons there, but if I spin this around, there is our bow. And then same thing, you're just going to take your ribbon tails, run them through your finger. It puts the curl in all of your ribbons. And then you just kind of play with, you know, which one do you want where. Break up some of your patterns. You might want that kind of trending over there. And then of course these will be at the bottom, but there is our bottom bow. So super simple. And look, you can't tell that that was a different type of ribbon. And we've got seven different types of ribbon just in the bow alone. So now we'll just take that off the same way we put it on, but opposite. We are going to add our sign. So we'll bring this over. Knowing that our sign is going to be at the bottom, I'm going to bring this up a little bit more to the top. So what I want to do is just pull one of my Deco mesh pieces on the end up so that I can get this sign in, and then I will generally push it down to about the depth I want it to go. Go over to the other side, same thing, pull back the layer of Deco mesh right where your sign is going to go. And then feed that through. I was going way too far of a stretch. We'll pull those out. We'll fix this in a second. There we go. We're going to go ahead and twist that on. We're going to go ahead and make sure all these little pieces right here, we can kind of just pull these out ever so gently and just do what's called feather the edge. It means take this raw edge of your sign and just make little waves with your Deco mesh. So just kind of pull out those little end pieces that we have right here on the ends. We're just pulling them out. I don't want a ton of them out, just a little bit. We want to soften the edges of the corners. We want a little ruffle edge. Got to do the same thing right here with the corner. And just pull that out just a little bit. Allow this one to trend. Here's a fray. There's a fray. Here fray, there fray. But it's better to get them off than have them still stay on there. Okay. Now down here at the bottom, we need to have a place for our bow to sit. If we don't move some of the mesh down, then our bow floats on top of that mesh. All the ribbon tails will float on top of the mesh. So you can see I'm not going too far down with the feathering. I am pulling these up. I don't like to see the edge though, the ribbon. Open, open. Open that one. Open that. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and plop our bow right here in the center. Find where I want that to lay, just right on the edge of my sign so we can still see the pumpkin. that's why having your loops already in place, you can kind of figure out, okay, where do you want that to lay? I gotta just work it through a ton of mesh, because of course I decided to put it right where I'm gathering all my mesh, but we can still work through that. You just have to work a little bit more, but we're in. We're gonna go ahead and make sure that lays flush right. I'm gonna go ahead and fix all of our loops. Now it looks a little funny for you guys, the way it's facing. So let me show you what it looks like thus far. Donna, thank you for asking. My daughter, they're keeping her one more night. She is 29 and is, her heart keeps going into AFib, and they don't know why. So needless to say, we have cause for concern. So, you know, that was the reason why I put it out there to do, you know, prayer requests for people, who would care to pray for her. We definitely believe in the power of prayer. So we're hoping that, they can give her something, to help her manage. Her doctor thinks it's stress, but I don't know. I'm like, I have my other beliefs, but we'll see what her cardiologist says. She has an appointment with a cardiologist in August, so we'll see what he says based on what they discover. Thank you very much for that. I was looking for a fray. I had one. I just saw it. That's right here. It is ever so subtle. Okay, so this begs to ask the question, should we add some raffia to this? Well, let me show you what I mean by that. We can put a sample piece in and see what you think. I do have orange and I do have natural. So let's try the orange. These colors are from Hobby Lobby. So Hobby Lobby has these in their fall section. Let's see, that's a good one, actually. Most of the time they're a bit on the thick side. So I always try to find a mix of like thin and thick. Let's see. I'm trying to even these two pieces up. I'm still waiting for someone to come up with the invention of putting raffia on a roll. So when I'm doing them, I like them to be a little long. So I think I'm doing about 6 inches. So I'm just going to go back and forth in my hand with the raffia until I run out. And then this is what it would look like. We would put it where our orange is, right in here. So we have this look with the raffia in there. This one's a little too long. So there's, I don't know if you can see it. Is it right there? I believe so. It's just this little piece right here. We could also mix the two and do, let's see, this one needs to get split, because usually the raffia here is a little thicker than what I'd like. So I just split it to give it more of a wispy look. And then we can blend that with a little bit of the orange. I'll ask for your opinions. You guys tell me what you think. We'll give you one of 3 different looks. Actually 4, because if you don't like it at all, we won't put it in. So I'm breaking that ribbon or the raffia down so they're in nice little pieces. Okay, so we're going to put this one on the other side. This is a mix between the both. Let me go bigger. So this is a mix of the raffia, natural and orange. So that would look like this. And I'm going to try to hide the pipe cleaner in the back so you don't see the pipe cleaner to make your opinion. So we have this look right here in the front. And then we have, oops, just the orange. So there's the mix. And this is just orange. What do you guys think? Oh, that's interesting, Simone, that you experienced racing hard a couple times because each time is because you were dehydrated. I noticed that too. So I'm always like pushing the water through. And you're right. And you feel tired too. So do you guys opt for the mix or just the orange? Donna says she likes the mix. Cheryl says the mix. I have a feeling it's going to go mixed. Let me go ahead and start prepping the other. Or we can put no raffia. That is one of the options too. It never fails though. The tan is always. Oh, that one just stopped shredding. Mix, mix, mix. Okay. So I'm going to take this one out. So we're just adding it to those places where, like I said, I have the, I left the pipe cleaners in. Okay, there's that one. That. And we need another piece of the natural. Always comes in a giant piece. And all I want is just like one section of that. Okay. So now we'll evenly blend these. I think I kind of went a little longer too. And trim that one off. So we're just tucking those in, and then we'll remove the pipe cleaners here. Some options you have for embellishing is you could put scatters and fillers at the end of your pipe cleaners if you'd like. You could come in and add some berries like, let's see, I don't have a ton of them. But like these that are kind of like a fall berry color, the orange, the tan, and the brown. I obviously don't have any blue, but you could add those to your design. Let's grab some more orange. The orange is like perfect almost. And then I spoke, and then I pulled out that big thick piece. Sometimes they just don't want to tear evenly. Like it just wants to stay one super long piece. There's that. We'll go ahead and use that one. So Hobby Lobby sells the yellow, brown, and orange together. And then they also sell the natural all by itself. But I use raffia so much in a lot of my wreath designs. I just buy the raffia in huge bundles from Amazon. and that I always have more than enough. There we go. Trying to make sure we have an even mix. Place this right inside. We just got to do that in 6 locations. What do you guys think of the overall design so far? And I like just spreading those out so they're not just like perfect individual places. Kind of like a messy bun. Let's see. This one can be separated. Let's see, do we have all the starts in the same place? No. It's challenging getting it all lined up. So you have equal pieces that'll all go in that bundle perfectly. See, and this is usually what I'm used to dealing with, the really thick, wide pieces, but you get a lot out of it. And we should get one more split. Yes. Okay. Blend that together. So we have a nice messy little bun there. Tuck that up here. And then we have one on either side of the bow. There we go. One is down here. You could, trying to color match florals for this one, it would be a bit of a challenge. This is one of those tertiary colors, which is really hard to color match. So trying to find a perfect color that's going to match, you know, you're probably going to get too blue, too green. So know that going in, if that is your choice. If you're going to go to someplace like Hobby Lobby, take your sign with you. You know, if you're going to try to color match ribbons from a photo, it's really hard. Take your sign with you. I have done that numerous times. Because lighting can be misleading. Okay. So I'm just going back and forth with a big bundle in my hand. Cutting off the excess when it hits past that loop. Right underneath there. A little bit of a messy bun look. Let's grab this piece for the last, it's on the opposite side of our bow. Only got one. There we go. Now let's grab our orange. That one's way too small. There we go. This one already has it separated. So I always keep the ends starting length the same, and then I just go back and forth with my bundles in my hand. I think they're about 6 inches. And then if you have like little ends, you can cut those off. Put that right in the center of your pipe cleaner. Give it a couple twists. Tuck the end behind your loop. And then just fluff out your raffia. Fluff. And then we'll go ahead and reposition some of my ribbons there. These are all too short. So there is our finished design. And I will put this up on the door so you can see what it looks like on a full-size door. So I'm going to go ahead and pivot you up. I always like try to figure out the best possible way to do that, because I don't want to get you too high to where you hit the lights. So we'll take this one down. This one will go up. And it looks really nice when you put a light wreath like this on a darker door. So in preparation for your photos, you want to make sure all of your loops are open, all of your tails, like all the little tips. I know it's like just such a like a stickler point, but it looks so much better on your photos if you just take the time on your initial photos to make sure. See, there's one of those frays. Make sure all of your ribbon tails are crisp. They're not folded. Everything looks pristine, like you ironed it. Make sure loops are open. Tails are visible. You want to be able to see all those ribbons that you put in there. And we will cut that extra long piece right here. A little too long. And make sure it's on there straight. But that is our design. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in just on the wreath. Let's go ahead and see if we can do that. I think that we'll zoom in just to the wreath, but that is our overall design. Let me make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So you can kind of see the top. Did we do that? Nope. Yeah, we did. Okay. So that's the design we finished today. This tutorial is going to go on replay for those of you that missed the beginning. This is now available for sale in my shop at the link that's pinned to the bottom. Also, if you are contemplating joining my private group, I would welcome you to do so. We do business and design. And for those of you that are struggling with that whole mindset, I can help you on that. We can get you up and going, and we can get you busy selling. But you could sign up for all the coaching in the world. You can, take all the training classes in the world that you want. But if you don't apply the training that is given, how do you know that it works? You got to give it a go. You got to take it in, and then you got to implement it. And so I hope you guys will join me again. I will be back on Thursday to do a Christmas design. So it's Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern Time for our Christmas design. And I hope you guys will join me for that one. All right. Thanks for following and thanks for joining. And I appreciate you guys being here. Bye for now, everyone.